It really felt like we were stuck in Phoenix. We had got COVID and then we were stuck there for way longer than we thought we would be. I was freaked out to drive in the States because we drive on the different side of the road. I'm driving now on highways and lanes with more traffic and more lanes than I've ever seen in my life. The Grand Canyon was seriously one of the best experiences. The sad thing was we ended up missing our flight. So Nick and I had a bit of a fight in the middle of the Phoenix airport. I got to meet Cassie for the first time. That experience was incredibly beautiful. We went kayaking with the pod leaders as well, which was really fun. And I've been wanting to go to Disney World or Disneyland since I was 5. It was surreal. There was a guy who was drunk. He was ready to shiv someone. I was saying to the kids, just walk. That was quite scary. I'm glad I don't live there because really didn't have a good time. So I ended up getting pretty sick from COVID and really didn't have a good time. We were kind of stuck in Phoenix for quite a few days. The kids were really sick. I just felt rotten and it actually took me quite a long time to recover from it. Got some kind of vegetarian Chinese food. Lots of tofu. We decided to stay at our Airbnb for another 2 nights because even though like we can actually leave now, we're no longer in quarantine, I just still don't feel really up to it. So yeah, everything's just getting pushed back. How are you feeling?
Pushed back.
And Nick's gonna help me. Like, this is the thing that I'm most daunted by at the moment, is trying to get like this mat. I'm gonna try and get this out today. And then from Phoenix we took a bus over to Flagstaff because we wanted to stay there so we could go to Sedona, do some meetups, and also go and visit the Grand Canyon. I was freaked out to drive in the States because we drive on the different side of the road. I'm gonna call it the correct side of the road in New Zealand. And when we first got to America, even just crossing the road was so scary, so I didn't think that I would be able to drive. But we hired the first car that we had in Flagstaff and I was actually able to drive. So I kind of got used to driving while we were in Flagstaff. So we would drive from there to Sedona and we had this awesome meetup with Beth, who is one of the pod leaders within Lean with Plants. And I did an interview with her all about her systems and how she's lost between 40 and 50 pounds and kept them off after so many diets. So if you want to check out her interview, go and have a look at that in the description. So I'm just here with Beth and we've just done a podcast episode. Beth, you've lost 40 pounds in total.
In total?
That's flipping amazing.
Yeah.
And she is over 60, which a lot of people think they can't lose weight in the 60s, but you can. Beth is the example.
Yes.
And she's going to be just sharing a little bit of her systems, which we do talk about in the podcast as well. She also showed me how she does her prepping system for when she leaves the house, which is flippin' amazing and something that I've been using ever since.
I'm not one of those people who has that fancy tote that you take your food in,
Yeah.
But I always gather little bags like this from the shops and I keep them in my in one of my cupboards in the kitchen. And then when I leave the house, I take a baggie of snacky veggies, apple, usually another piece of fruit, because I don't like to be caught without. So, you know, if I don't eat all of it, which I usually don't, that's fine. And then depending on how long I'm going to be out, I usually have these little containers.
Oh, that's
and
smart.
I'll put hummus in it. And a lot of times I don't eat it, but I like it to be there if necessary. So
will you do this every time you leave the house?
pretty much.
That's really smart.
Yeah. Well, right now I have a baked potato
Cooking
in the microwave.
Oh, that's
this
so
is for
cool.
Chelsea. So while I gather
you're like showing me your system.
That's my system.
I love that. This is the best freaking little goodie bag that Beth gave me. Baked potato in there, which I've been eating tons of. This is delicious, I must say. And this is yum. Like, the variation of veggies is delicious. So I'm stoked for this.
goodie bag.
The Grand Canyon was seriously one of the best experiences of our time in Arizona. I was expecting something so much smaller, but it actually blew me away. The scale of it was phenomenal. The kids didn't even get bored. It was insanely beautiful, and we saw deer. It was just such a cool experience to see that in person. Look at this. Absolutely spectacular. Flippin' amazing Grand Canyon. We tried to do a bit of a meetup and it kind of flopped because we didn't have any cell phone reception and we didn't know exactly where to meet with people. It was our first meetup, which we did in Sedona, but we had a great little hike. The kids saw a turtle for the first time. You can't capture this.
Can't capture them. It's just like,
It's breathtaking.
just breathtaking.
And that's the church up there.
How do you put it to? It's pretty cool. Pretty darn cool.
Look at this. And the rocks up here. This is flippin' amazing. We got to meet up with Kathleen, who is someone that I met online. She's a beautiful, amazing person who's also lost a ton of weight using calorie density. And she made us the most epic food, which we were able to take back to Flagstaff and enjoy. And I got so many messages from people saying, I want the recipe. And I was like, well, we just got given this food. So that was really, really nice as well. Finished our hike and I've got some sweet potato, salad, hummus, and the kids have got some bread.
I loved it when we saw that turtle and
then from Flagstaff we decided that we would continue with the car hire and actually drive all the way back to Phoenix to get our flight because it was so much easier and more comfortable than actually getting the bus. So we did a little meetup in Phoenix and met the most amazing girl, Jenny, who was an absolute gem, and I just loved meeting her. So Jenny, this is a shout out to you. The sad thing was we ended up missing our flight because we just didn't really time it right, and I'm such a time optimist, so Nick and I had a bit of a fight in the middle of the Phoenix airport, and unfortunately we couldn't get the flight out that day. It really felt like we were stuck in Phoenix because we had got COVID and then we were stuck there for way longer than we thought we would be, and then we couldn't even leave. So we ended up staying in a really, really tiny motel and then flying out the next day, and it was such a relief to actually get on the plane and be able to leave it. Just waiting for our shuttle because we missed our flight yesterday. So it was fun. It's fun missing the flight. Is that what you said? It was a joke. I was joking. So from Phoenix we flew to San Antonio, hired a car there. We only had a couple of days, so we didn't really see much. But I personally really loved San Antonio because it was the first place that we'd been to that wasn't desert. We were seeing trees again. It rained while we were there. I went for the first run that I had post-COVID, and we decided that we would just drive all the way from San Antonio to Austin, where we were going to stay for about a week. And on the way to Austin, one of the things that stood out to me was just how many huge takeout signs there were and fast food places that were just competing for attention and competing for height. Like there was some that was seriously so huge and high, and like we don't have that at home. And I was like, this is actually quite intense, like how in your face the advertising was for takeout. Not only that, I'm driving now on highways and lanes with more traffic and more lanes than I've ever seen in my life, or definitely ever driven on. So that was its own experience. Like when we finally got to Austin, there was so many times where we went on and then off the highway again, or we'd take the wrong lane, and it was fine. Like, we always got to our destination in the end. We ended up buying a GPS so that we could just take it around with us and put it in all our rental cars. But Austin, we kind of fell in love with. Well, I definitely fell in love with Austin. And while we were there, we were stayed in this really cute little Airbnb. It's been a very long day. It's after 8 now and I'm just cooking dinner. This is our new in Austin. It's very, very cute. Little kitchen, even a little piano. And here we go. And I'm making spaghetti again, like I always do. Same staples with mashed avocado and spaghetti. It was just such a big vegan scene and such an active place as well. There were so many people running around. It was really green, it was beautiful. And while we were there, I was opening the doors to Lean with Plants. Lean with Plants is the program that I run, and every 3 months we open up the doors for enrollment so that people can join to come and learn how to lose weight in a sustainable way and really build core habits that are going to lead to long-term sustainable weight loss using calorie density. So we were opening up the doors. There was a lot of promotion, a lot of excitement for people coming in. So that took up a lot of my time while we were there, and it was really, really cool to welcome the new members. We do a member wall, all of that good stuff, which if you're interested to learn about more, you can have a look on my website and find out when we're opening up again. But we did have the really cool opportunity to meet up with Tia, otherwise known as Healthy Vegan Mama, who I absolutely love. She's an amazing vegan YouTuber, which you probably know about. We met up with her. We were able to meet up with her and her family and go and do a duck tour, which was it was like an amphibious bus tour. So starting on land, drove all around Austin, went into the river as well, which was really, really beautiful. Our kids got on well. They ate all our veggies and hummus the entire time. On the duck tour, it's gonna be loud.
Very noisy.
Keep going. Another highlight of Austin, which I must say is probably a good reason that I don't live there, is they have something called Project Pollo, which is an initiative to try and replace or give a plant-based alternative to Chick-fil-A. So they have tons of like amazing vegan burgers. It's really, really affordable, awesome vegan milkshakes, like seriously to die for, so delicious, and it's fully vegan and actually really affordable. And they even have like a drive-through option. We've got burger, it's like macaroni, cheese with like buffalo type things. And the kids have got burgers. This is like a strawberry thick shake. It's really good actually.
Really
Loaded
sweet.
fries and
This is
Oreo.
really sweet too, and
It is really sweet. Yeah, really. Pretty yum. And the cool thing is that since they've started, I think they started about 6 months ago, they've already opened 6 locations in Texas. So I kind of have mixed thoughts about it, where I'm like, I'm glad I don't live there because, well, I'm glad I don't have access to that all the time because it would be too easy to eat, because it is really, really delicious and it's not super healthy. But I'm also like, this is awesome for veganism in general, that there's an option for people to kind of transition and have that instead of, you know, traditional kind of McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or something like that. So if you're ever in Texas, definitely check out Project Pollo. And it actually ruined us for burgers ever since then, because we're always comparing it to Project Pollo and the milkshakes as well. Like, so good. And Voodoo Doughnuts, donuts are my thing. I flippin' love donuts. You cannot get vegan donuts in my town. Like, you have to drive a couple of hours. Not easy to find at all and not many options. But Voodoo Doughnuts, which has a couple of locations around the States, do an epic array of vegan donuts. And we bought every single type to try it. and we were going to share it with our kids. Our kids had a little bit, but Nick and I ended up eating most of them because they were that flippin' good. And then we ended up having them at Universal as well in Orlando because they were there. And let me know in the comments if you've had Voodoo Doughnuts because they are next level. So apart from the heat in Austin, like Nick really doesn't like the heat. It exacerbates his symptoms a lot. But for me, I felt like at that point, that was my favorite place that we'd been to. Really beautiful city, lots of kind of like a mix of old and new, and really active. Like I like living in a place and being in a place where I feel like you see people exercising and you have like a culture of people working out. Definitely ticked that box. Lots of greenery, and the vegan scene and the vibe of people was amazing. And I've had so many people say to me, well, the rest of Texas is not like that. I have no idea because I haven't been there, but that specifically was a really nice place for us to have that extended week. And it was also the first place that I was able to have an espresso that wasn't Starbucks at a cute cafe. So from Austin we went to New Orleans, which we didn't actually love. I mean, we've got 2 small children, and then we have someone in a wheelchair in our party as well. So it really wasn't super suitable for us. Impressions of New Orleans so far?
Not with kids.
The first night we were there was a guy who was drunk as we were walking down the street, and he was ready to shiv someone. He found this big stick, like this big metal piping or something, and he was like looking, he was like, I'm gonna find the guy that stole my beer, who stole my booze. And so we were just walking heads down. Like I was saying to the kids, just don't look at him, just walk. And that was quite scary. And they were like, why does this place just smell like pee? Which it did. We stayed in the French Quarter. I'm sure if we'd have stayed there longer, we would have seen more of the kind of the areas. We did have some amazing vegan soul food while we were there, which was epic. We did a little tour, kind of heard some more of the history. It's a place with a lot of culture, but we personally didn't love it so much as a family. Yep, well done. And then we just put it in here.
Feel free to take all the...
One of the things that we loved about New Orleans was the muffaletas, and Nick actually got so obsessed with them that he was looking up online how to make it. And the muffaletta is like this kind of traditional Sicilian sandwich that I think it came out of New Orleans, and it's got olives and cheese, bread, and some kind of meat, but we had a vegan version, and it was really good. So from New Orleans we flew over to Orlando, and the kids got to meet the pilots, which was really cool. And we went to Orlando because we wanted to do a pod leader retreat there. So pod leaders are volunteers within the Lean of Plants program that I run, and we train the pod leaders in a method that helps members see progress. And I'm going to do a podcast episode all about the kind of system that we use because it's incredibly powerful, and it's basically identifying what your next tiny step is to see progress. So we wanted to honor our leaders, we wanted to meet with them while we were here in the States, and so we hosted a retreat for them, and about 9 of our amazing leaders were able to come and join us, and we had the best time. It was so much amazing healthy food. We cooked together, we talked about leadership, and we met some of the most just beautiful, wonderful people. Pod leaders in the house, yes! And lots of healthy snacks and food. Cassie's gonna snack on an onion later when she gets hungry. And this, look at this. This is amazing. And then we've got our sweet potatoes cooking up. Yay. And I'm actually here in Canada right now because one of the pod leaders that we met there, Kirsten, shout out to you, invited us to come up here. And so I'm sitting in her house and filming this for you. I got to meet Cassie for the first time, she's a community manager in Lean with Plants, and we've been talking really every day for probably the last 2 years that she has been involved in Lean with Plants. So to meet someone like that who I just feel like I'm so close to and so just connected to in terms of what we want to do to help people with weight loss and habits, and to meet her face to face was just mind-blowing. So that experience was incredibly beautiful. We went kayaking with the pod leaders as well, which was really fun and so cool to get to see a bit of the more like swampland and streams in Florida. Hey everybody, wave!
Hello.
Yay!
Look how fuzzy the babies are.
So cute. You are like my children.
2 dragonflies moving.
There's a lot around here. And there's Beth. Cassie living her best life.
Yeah.
You're a vibe anywhere you are. And then we also ended up going to Universal with Kirsten and Amy, who I'm going to put their links in the description because they also have YouTube channels. It was just such a fun time to be able to hang out with them and see Universal. Our kids like absolutely loved it. I can't go that side. Yum.
It's very yum.
Having fun? Oh wow! Riley went on the roller coaster with us there, and I screamed the entire time because I was petrified she was going to fall out. Nearly just died on the roller coaster. I tried to kill her. I didn't go on it. I thought Riley was going to die. It was pretty scary. It was pretty scary. I was screaming the entire time. You having fun? Aww. That I would say was not fun, but apart from that, we had an absolutely fantastic time in Florida, and then ended up going to Disney World Magic Kingdom for 2 days, and then we went to Hollywood Studios for another day, and I did a full video about what I ate while I was there at Magic Kingdom, so I'm going to put that in its own video, so keep an eye out for that, because Disney World was amazing. Our kids loved it, and to be able to take them there after wanting to go for my entire life, like I'm in my early 30s now, and I've been wanting to go to Disney World or Disneyland since I was 5. And my parents actually said, when you're older, like we will take you to Disneyland. They never got the opportunity to do that, so that the fact that I can do that with my children, it was surreal. It was a beautiful, surreal experience. But you're going to see that in its own video. So this is a very brief overview of our time in the States so far, and I've kind of broken it up into the south, and then we ended up flying north from there into New York. There's so many takeaways. It's been an amazing experience. I thought I would get more time to film. I thought that I would be able to share more, but we've just been go, go, go. The biggest takeaways in terms of New Zealand versus America is that this place is just huge. There's so many options for unhealthy food. There's so much convenience food, but there's also so much in terms of cheap produce, accessible produce. It's an incredibly accessible place, which for us with Nick using a wheelchair has been just hugely incredible in terms of traveling as a family. And we've been able to do things that we could never do at home because there's just not the same accessibility laws as there is in the States. So we felt like we can go almost anywhere. I have loved the experience so far. I've not been eating super healthy, but there's been a few key systems that we've brought forward, like baking potatoes, eating lots of, cherry tomatoes, snap peas, baby carrots, things that I can't buy at home because they're just too expensive, or they're just not in season, and then they're not available, or they're astronomically expensive. So I've been loving that, and hopped on the scales here at Kirsten's, and I think I've gained about 4 pounds, which I'm actually really happy about that it's only been 4 pounds with the way that I've been eating lots of Project Pollo. So I did a full takeaway of my thoughts on eating healthy versus not, and I've done that in a podcast episode because I think it contrasts it better. It's really its own thing. So if you want to check that out, then look in the description and you can listen to that podcast episode. But overall, I love it. I love this place. I love the accessibility in terms of produce, and there's so many vegan options. The people that we've met so far have been incredibly friendly. And this is obviously from a perspective of someone who's just a tourist here, but I've been blown away so far by, I think, just the fact that so much of what I talk to on a daily basis is aimed towards North America. And 95%, if I look at the statistics of people who follow and watch me, 95% of those people are based in North America. So coming here and hearing the stories from people, meeting and talking about, you know, the struggles of processed food, seeing it firsthand, seeing the products and the shops and the supermarkets that I've heard talked about so much over the last couple of years has really felt like a missing piece of me has been filled by coming here. And that's not a commentary on anything political, and every country has massive issues. We were in New York just last week, and I'll hopefully do more of a video of kind of that side of the trip at a later date, but we tried to take the subway and we couldn't because we couldn't find an accessible way down there. And then we heard a couple of hours later that there'd been a shooting on the subway, and then there's been just some really horrific stuff that we've heard about in the last week, which is horrible. It's really, really horrible. So purely on a level that deals with the food here, I've been blown away with how accessible it is and how easy it is to buy delicious produce, but also delicious processed food. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you found it interesting, let me know in the comments. Let me know what kind of things you want to see from me. And thank you for being patient with me while I've been traveling and not putting out much content. We'll be resuming that in 3 weeks' time when we go home to New Zealand. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next week for another video. Okay, bye.
Oh. There's the castle. How good. So yum. First course at the tavern. Salad, bread.
Well, folks, it looks like we're now in the Amazon rainforest on the Amazon River.
I feel like I finally know what people mean by the happiest place on earth. And this is just next level